Here is something I have not seen in many a long year, and elf in Imladris I do not know. Welcome, friend. I am Andriel.
Greetings, lady. I am Legolas, son of King Thranduil of the Woodland Realm in Mirkwood.
Your pardon. I did not know I addressed a prince.
Yes, a prince. But please, there's no need to stand on formalities. We of Mirkwood seldom do.
I am pleased to welcome one of our kin from the Woodland Realm. We so seldom have the opportunity to greet our far-flung kin.
And for my part, I'm happy to see Imladris, of which I've heard so much. But travel between your home and mine becomes yearly more hazardous.
Let us hope that will change, for I would like to visit the Woodland Realm one day.
I would be delighted to welcome you, and to show you the wonders of our forest home. Sadly, I think that day must be delayed for some time.
Tell me about Mirkwood.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty, but now it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum escape your guard?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
What is this place, Dol Guldur?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
Will you be departing for your home soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
I wonder why it is that with so many elves in his own household to consider, Elrond chose to make you a member of the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength should the enemy move against Imladris.
I am curious why you would volunteer for this.
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness, and I wish to have a hand in our final victory, or at least to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
Elbereth guide you in the days ahead, Legolas.
And you as well, Andriel.
Well met, friend. It's an honor to make the acquaintance of one of Farin's valiant companions. I'm Glóin, son of Groin, from the Lonely Mountain.
And one of Bilbo's companions in the quest to slay the dragon Smaug. I remember seeing you when Thorin Oakenshield's company stayed with us here in Rivendell. I am Andriel, a lawmaster of Elrond's house.
I heard about that business at Sarn Ford, and they say the three of you brought down an orc chieftain at Fornost. I expect I'll be hearing of even greater deeds before long. It does my heart good to see a dwarf, an elf, and a man working together again. Reminds me of the old days, it does, when the three kindred fought alongside one another in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Then you approve of my alliance with Farin?
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
I have heard when a dwarf bears a grudge, it is set in stone. But I believe this grudge against the wood elves should have been put aside long ago.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agandaur may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
We must not forget the Great Eagles. They have been a great help to us, just as they were to you and your companions.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
Sauron's attention will be focused largely on the south. If we thwart his plans here, he will be distracted. That could prove a benefit to the Ringbearer.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly, and it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you.
Hello, you are Andriel, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
And you are Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me about you, and your burden.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Clearly it was not an easy one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
You passed through the Burrow Downs? I know what you faced there. You are fortunate indeed to have escaped. That is no place to wander.
You seem to know a great deal about the Burrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What befell you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
I am familiar with the ruin known as Weathertop. What happened there?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
It is a little thing, this ring, but filled with mischief. Will you show it to me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Gandalf and Elrond have warned me against revealing the ring to anyone, even proven friends. I hope you understand.
Yes, I believe I do begin to understand. It was wrong of me to ask. I beg your pardon.
There is nothing to forgive. But the ring, it has a strange effect on everyone around it. It is better for it to remain hidden.
It is indeed a heavy burden you bear, Frodo. May you find strength and wisdom on the long road ahead. Farewell. Nothing calls to my heart like this, my home. Unless, perhaps, the sea. It is long since so many dwarves have graced the halls of Imladris. Who might you be?
Gimli, son of Glóin, at your service. I've heard your name spoken with great praise. That was fine work you did at Fornost. Not bad at all for one of Thranduil's folk, who are more accustomed to stealth in the forest than open battle. But after all, you had the help of my kinsman Farin. I heard he played a valiant part.
And so he did. But your wits fail you, Gimli, son of Glóin, if you cannot tell a wood elf from a member of Elrond's house.
Ah, well, no offense meant, but there are Mirkwood elves about in the halls, and they are the kind most familiar to me, being our neighbors and allies. Any elf of Elrond's house is a friend of mine and my kin. I am honored to be a guest here amongst the wise.
Farin spoke no word of more kin following him. What brings you such a distance to Imladris?
Aye, it's a long march from the halls of Erebor, but grim news goes on swift feet. It was for Bilbo's sake we came, with a warning that the servants of Sauron wished to find him and his ring. Thrice a Black Rider came to the front gate of Erebor, demanding news of Bilbo, and threatens to return once more. Ere that should happen, King Dain sent my father, Glóin, to seek the advice of Elrond. You've heard the results of the council? I see you have. I have sworn to protect Frodo upon his quest, an oath I will fulfill though all the orcs of Middle-earth stand in my way.
When you speak of a Black Rider, my mind is filled with the horror of the Nazgul. Was it such a fell messenger that came to your door?
Not one of the Nazgul, I think, but it was a fell servant all the same, who spoke in a voice like the hissing of snakes. What sort of man can serve the enemy willingly, even gladly, is beyond my understanding. More cruel than any orc he struck me, full of venom and lies.
You could well be describing Agandar, for he is such a servant.
Could it be so? Perhaps. It is enough that we will not be deceived by promises from Mordor ever again. The only way the Dark Lord gets his ring back this time is when it's tossed into the fires of Mount Doom.
I have heard much about Erebor from Bilbo. Were you there at the downfall of Smaug?
Sadly, no. I was far to the west in the Blue Mountains where I was born, for my father deemed me too young to join him on Thorin's quest. But once the dragon was destroyed, I hurried with many of my kin to settle there. I've labored some 70 years to restore what was lost and helped build anew the city of Dale from the ruins of the Dragonfire. I've seen the bones of Smaug upon the lake bottom where he fell. Did you know that Bilbo exchanged riddles with the dragon? Now that's a tale he should tell you. We owe much to that fine old hobbit.
What do you know of Frodo?
I know only that he is Bilbo's adopted heir, and that he has chosen of his own free will to bear and destroy the ring. That's all I need to know. I'll protect him to my final breath if need be.
Elrond has tasked us with a mission to scout the Etten-Moors. But what is it that worries you about the North?
I like not what I've heard of this Agendaur you drove from Fornost. He could yet cause grief untold. There are rumors of gatherings of orcs, goblins, and other deadly foes growing in strength. When the Dark Lord strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell. It would ease my heart to know that you'll look to the defense of the North for as long as you're needed. With help from Farin, of course.
Whatever Aradan and I, and the most esteemed Farin can do, we shall do. You have my promise. The shards of Narsil, sword of Elendil. Soon it shall be remade, and Aragorn will bear it to war.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend. Need keeps me away from Imladris, but my thoughts are often with those who dwell here.
I would like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
One elf at least goes with you on your quest. Tell me about Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar along with us. Your people have been foes of Sauron since before my ancestors returned to the shores of Middle-earth. The Elves of Mirkwood are constantly called upon to protect their realm from the many enemies that infest that wood. They are skilled warriors and unmatched archers.
What of this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
What can you tell me of the dwarf, Gimli?
I have spent little time among dwarves, but Gimli is one of Durin's folk, and the dwarves of that line are trusted by Elrond, in spite of the differences that sometimes divide elves and dwarves. If Gimli is like most of his kin, he will prove loyal and stout-hearted, enduring in hardship and fierce in battle.
What of these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin, in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
You go now to claim your rightful place as the King of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
I gather you had never heard of Agendaur until these recent events.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agendaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago, I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agendaur. These black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
You have traveled a great deal. Is there anything you can tell me of the Etten-Moors? words.
Only that it is a dangerous and unforgiving place. My own grandfather Aradur was slain by trolls in the Etten Moors. It is important we learn if the enemy is active in the moors, but we do not send you there lightly. Be on your guard at all times while you venture there.
I would like to know more about...
Who is it that interests you?
What of Mithrandir, of Gandalf? The two of you are great friends. Can you tell me something of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
Good luck to you.
Hello there, Andriel. It's good to see you back safe and sound. I've heard all about what you and your friends did to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. Oh, you'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it all down properly.
I am glad Frodo made it here safely. He is your heir, yet he is not your son?
Oh, no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
The Dunedain? You speak of Aragorn?
Yes, indeed. I have called him that since the day he first told me about his heritage. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to be in possession of the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
So you have been keeping up with your writing. What is it you are working on now?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish, although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn, and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Is that so? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled, forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that is dwindled. The scion of Westernese kings.
Why, yes, that's just the thing, isn't it? Oh, my friend, you should consider exchanging those weapons of yours for the poet's pen.
I hope the day will come again when we concern ourselves solely with music and poetry, but I fear that day is still far off.
Oh, I'm afraid you're right, but since these old hands are not much use with the sword, I'll just keep on with the pen. Though I'll need some help. Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply after all.
Arwen? Do you really think this is something we should trouble the daughter of Elrond with?
Oh, you are too formal, my friend. Why, I'll have you know that the Lady Arwen has frequently helped me with my poetry, and she is one of the best sources of elven history. Her rendition of the tale of Beren and Luthien is especially moving.
I will take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
Happily. Farewell for now, Bilbo.
Andreal, my Govanen, it is good to see you safely returned. I am told you passed through many dangers to bring us warning of a new threat facing these lands. Estelle speaks highly of you, and my brothers praised the courage you showed at Vornost. I thank you for the part you played in their safe return as well. Rest now a while in the peace of Imladris. It is long since we sat and spoke of herb lore and other gentle arts.
It is a matter of the gentle art that I bring to you. I have been speaking with Bilbo.
Say no more. I thought our people had a passion for poetry, but this hobbit may yet put us to shame.
Bilbo seems most unusual for a hobbit.
Perhaps we know less of hobbits than we think. They have a strength within that is far greater than their stature. Though I have only just met Frodo, I see the same qualities in him. Bilbo resisted the evil of the ring longer than many we would have called strong. It sustained him, so that now he is very old amongst his kind, but it did not stain him, and it has not lessened his love of poetry and song. Dear old Bilbo, I do believe there is nothing he loves more, except a good meal. In that, he remains a true hobbit.
I have a poem of his here. He asks for your opinion and advice, for he says the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then I would guess it is another poem in honor of Estelle. Leave it with me, Andreal. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Bilbo will be pleased, I am sure. I would that I had more time for such arts, but Elrond is in need of my skills, and I fear I must leave for the Ettenmoors as soon as may be.
Then I will not keep you, but perhaps we may be of service to one another. Your journey may solve a problem that has perplexed me. I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Ettenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval. I remember how it renewed my heart and gave me fresh strength.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore precious. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring them back from the Ettenmoors. I will set aside a flask for your own use when we have brewed it.
If I may be so bold, why is it that you prefer to use Estelle instead of Aragorn? His true name has long been known to you.
It is true that when first we met, he gave me his Dunedain name and lineage. Yet for the first 20 years of his life, he was known as Estelle, for he is the hope of his people. And hope, Estelle, he remains to me. In this war, Aragorn's fate is entwined with mine, to share his life and accept the doom of men. If our hope fails, the shadow will fall across Middle-earth and leave only ruin. Always he is in my thoughts. Even from afar, I watch over him and keep hope alive in my heart.
I have not heard how you met, if you would speak of it.
I had been living with my mother's kin in Lothlorien for many years, and had only recently returned to Imladris to visit my father. Estelle saw me at twilight as I walked in a grove of birch. Even then, in his youth, he struck me as more than other mortal men. 29 years passed, and I dwelt once again in Lothlorien when he came there, returning from perils on the very borders of Mordor. He had undergone many trials and hardships, yet he seemed as fair as an elf lord when I beheld him walking beneath the golden boughs of the malorn trees. We pledged our troth there, upon the hill of Ciaran Amroth, where I said to him, Dark is the shadow, and yet my heart rejoices. For you, Estelle, shall be among the great whose valor will destroy it.
Then it is as I heard. You have made the choice of the half-elven, choosing to become mortal because of your love for Aragorn.
That is the gift given to my father's line, to remain of elven kind and live forever in the undying lands beyond the great sea, or to accept a mortal life, both the sweet and the bitter.
You are guided by your heart, so you have made the correct choice, however painful it may prove for yourself, and for the others who love you.
In many ways, it does seem a choice between two separate sorrows. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will depart. When he leaves, we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle and the race of men.
I believe you said something about Miraval.
I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Ettenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris.
Yes, it is difficult.
You are generous, lady. I will seek them out for you, and return with them once my mission is completed.
This is rough country, no mistake. But so far, we've seen no sign of trouble.
But the moors stretch on for many leagues. It would be easy to miss something in these rugged crags and valleys.
Let us continue the search, but be wary. More than one ranger has been lost in these wild lands.
dare!
Of the LotR!
Let's see if you can take me! Come on, you face-hardened scum! You're no match for me!
Greetings, my friends. I could scarce believe what I saw from above. But elf, dwarf, and man battling the enemy together, such things are not often seen. I knew it had to be you.
Is that you, Belaram? I never thought we'd meet again so soon.
Nor did I. It does seem a strange coincidence, but a happy one nonetheless.
I was told the Etten Moors were dangerous, but we have encountered more enemies than I expected. Is there something transpiring that we should know of?
Indeed there is. The orcs and trolls of the Etten Moors are gathering to follow in the wake of Bagrisar, a corrupt stone giant. The foul folk respect his strength, and they will follow him for plunder and the chance to do evil. The giant must be stopped before he can bring this army to bear against our friends and allies.
Gandalf the Grey traveled here unhindered only a few short weeks ago, yet now we find the moors are filled with foes. Is it unusual to find so many enemies here?
These moors are always dangerous, a breeding ground for trolls and orcs. But even here it is unusual to see so many enemies openly assembling. The presence of Bagrisar makes them bold. They believe he will lead them to the bloodshed and plunder they crave. And it may well be, unless the giant is destroyed.
Perhaps there are other giants in league with Bagrisar.
I do not believe so, for we have learned Bagrisar is an outcast among his own kind. They disowned him for past crimes, and will offer him no protection from our vengeance.
I was not aware the great eagles dwelt here in the Etten Moors.
No, we keep our areas atop the high peaks of the nearby Misty Mountains. We have come to the Etten Moors in pursuit of Bagrisar.
We will not leave our allies to face this enemy alone. Let us join with you in the hunt for Bagrisar.
Your aid would be most welcome. Together we may be able to best him. Every hour he lives, his following grows greater. Let us press on!
See if you can take me! no match for me!
Their archers have the high ground.
Fiends!
See if you can take me!
We must pass that gate! They have trapped us!
Moving in the trees.
We must work together to overcome these odds.
You're no match for me!
Now we can continue through that door. The smell alone tells me we have found a troll's lair. These caves are extensive.
At last, I see sunlight ahead.
me if you dare!
I need help!
I need healing.
The Ranger needs help!
Come on, you great-hearted scum!
I need help!
Get up, friend! We still have need of you.
That was too close for comfort. You have my thanks.
ambush.
It is finished. My people are avenged.
And behold, here come your kin.
My lord.
It would appear that you have done our work for us, Belaram.
Not I, Lord Gwaihir. Your thanks belong to these three: Andriel, Farin, and Eridan. It is they who rid us of Bagrisar.
The same three that saved you at Fornost.
Indeed, a remarkable chance that we should meet again.
If chance it was, your fates seem strangely intertwined. But be that as it may, we are doubly grateful to you. First for saving the life of Balaram, and now for slaying the giant.
We are glad your fallen kin have been avenged. Bargrasar was a threat to all free folk. It is only fitting we should join together to destroy him.
Well spoken. But I wonder what purpose you had for coming to the Ettenmoors. This is no place for idle wandering.
My master, Elrond Half-Elven, suspected the enemy might be gathering here. It was he who sent us to investigate.
He also thought we might find a servant of the enemy here. A man by the name of Agandaur.
Balaram has told us of that one, but I fear you have come too late. We have searched the Ettenmoors thoroughly in our hunt for Bargazar, yet we have seen no sign of this servant of the Dark Lord. If he was here, we can be reasonably certain he is here no longer. My people will work to disperse the enemy forces that remain in the moors. We will be on guard against the return of Agandaur.
Then we'd best head back to Rivendell. Elrond will be wondering about us. We've already been gone too long.
I will arrange for a messenger.
My lord, I owe my life to these three, and I too believe Agandaur to be a grave threat to the free peoples of the north, eagles no less so than any other. If you would grant me leave, I wish to accompany them and aid them in their quest.
You ask a great deal, Balaram. I may have need for all my followers soon. Yet I perceive a great destiny awaits these three, and it seems you are now part of it. Very well. I will grant you permission to join with them for as long as you see fit.
Unless Balaram plans to carry his friends like sheep in his talons, he will need help. If it pleases you, my lord, I will gladly accompany them as well.
I too have a stake in this quest. Let me be the third.
So be it. Three who cleave the air to match three who walk the earth. May fortune favor you all. Arminel, Baranthor, you shall be at Balaram's command. Obey his word until such time as you return to us. Now I must depart. Many forces are at work across Middle-earth, and many events take shape. I must consider what part the Eagles will play in them.
We are most grateful for your aid and trust, Lord Gwaihir. Farewell.
You return at last. We grew concerned for you. I fear you have missed your chance to say farewell to the members of the Fellowship, for they have departed. Clearly you found danger in the Ettenmoors, yet you have returned safely, and in the company of three of the great eagles, no less. There is a story behind this, and I am eager to hear it.
We found trolls and orcs preparing for war, just as we feared, and they were led by a renegade stone giant.
He had made attacks against Gwaihir's people.
But with the Eagle Balaram's help, we managed to put an end to him.
That was well done, but this is troubling. Why would a stone giant act in this manner? They have never been hostile to free folk before.
We found these tokens on some of the slain.
Some of them bear the Black Raven emblem of Agandaur.
Then we can be certain he is behind the giant's descent into evil. But there are also other tokens here I recognize. These are the marks of the orcs of Mount Gundabad, far to the north.
What can you tell us of Mount Gundabad?
It is a great peak that stands far to the north, at the meeting point of the Misty Mountains and the Grey Mountains. Once, Gundabad was a delving of the dwarves, but it was abandoned long ago. It has since become a stronghold of the orcs. It would be hard-pressed to find a more dangerous location in all the north.
Could Agandaur be a threat to the Ringbearer and his mission?
Perhaps, But the Company of the Ring is bound southward, away from the regions where we believe Agendaur to be. We can hope that he has no thought for the ring. Indeed, I doubt he even knows of it.
Why would Agendaur not know of the ring? He is an important servant of the Dark Lord.
Do not forget, for all his power, Agendaur is a mortal man. As bound as he is to the Dark Lord, he is not a slave to his will, as are the ring wraiths. Were Agendaur to discover the ring, he would certainly be tempted to claim it as his own. I doubt Sauron would take such a risk.
We have seen the forces Agendaur commands, and they are formidable. Rivendell may well be their target.
I fear you are correct. We have made plans for our defense, but truthfully, our best hope lies in eliminating the threat of Agendaur.
If the orcs of Mount Gundabad are serving Agendaur, perhaps we can find him there.
It may well be. From Mount Gundabad, the orcs have many tunnels and secret pathways connecting the hidden mines and orc holds of the Misty Mountains. The orcs can move along those routes in great numbers without being seen. If Agendaur is raising an army to fight for his master in the north, it is certain he will have traveled to Gundabad. The evidence you have uncovered confirms this to be so, yet we have no way of knowing if he is there still.
Maybe not, but it's not like we have many more choices, other than to sit waiting for Agendaur to strike first.
To walk into such an orc-infested pit as Mount Gundabad would seem like folly, but you have proven your skill and daring many times over. And too, you have the eagles to aid you. It may be that you will find a way to take the enemy by surprise. It is certain that, were you to destroy Agendaur, you would cut the heart from Sauron's plan to make war in the north.
But what of Frodo and his quest? Is there nothing more we can do to assist him?
That die is cast. We must abide the consequences, for good or ill. There is nothing more we here can do but to look to our own defense.
How will you prepare?
We will continue to plan for the defense of Imladris. The enemy will not find us unprepared. I will send warnings to such allies as we have. There is strength to be found in Imladris still, but in truth, you three may be our best hope.
Then we shall not fail. We travel to Mount Gundabad.
Your courage is commendable, but be certain you are well prepared. Mount Gundabad will not be forgiving of the unwary. Farewell, and may the stars shine upon your path.
Good to see you again, Andriel. What can I do for you?
You are welcome here for as long as you wish, but I wonder that you make no plans to return to your home.
I'd leave tomorrow, but Elrond thinks I should stay put. He says that an elder dwarf, old is what he means, such as myself, is too easy a target traveling between here and the mountain. I fear he may be right. It was dangerous enough when we first traveled west. Now the return path is overrun with orcs and goblins and such like. And with my boy Gimli going off with the Fellowship, well, here I'll stay for the present.
I have collected these gemstones for the smith Angmir, but if he is to make use of them, they must be of the highest quality. He wishes for your appraisal.
My pleasure. I always enjoy handling fine gems. Oh, yes. These are excellent stones. See here, the depth of color, the way they seem to shine with an inner light. In fact, I've a fancy to buy them from you. I never tire of collecting such stones, and I've plenty of coin in my purse. How's the weight of your own purse these days?
It would take more than that before I would disappoint Angmir.
suppose I can sweeten the deal somewhat, but I didn't bring all the wealth of Erebor with me. There's something to be said for the clink of coins and a full purse. I'm sure Angmir will understand. Well, goodbye and good luck.
Hello again. What can I help you with?
I must be going.
Andriel, it is good to see you once again. We were beginning to be concerned for you and your companions. And yet you return victorious, upon the backs of eagles no less. We are grateful to you for ending the threat of Bargrasar. The giant might have done great harm but for you. The trolls and orcs of the Ettenmoors will be dismayed by his fall. They will be slow to march against us now.
What can you tell me of the stone giants?
They are mysterious creatures. Little is known of them, and little do they concern themselves with the affairs of other folk. Yet they were never thought to be wicked, nor are they counted among the servants of the enemy. Making it all the more strange that Bargrasar sought to make war upon us. I detect the hand of the Dark Lord in this.
Have you seen any sign of the enemy near our home?
No true threat, but our wardens have slain a few goblins that strayed near. It may well be they were scouts seeking the location of Imladris. Wolves are also roaming in great numbers in the wild. These might be no more than simple beasts, but the enemy has used such spies before. We must assume the location of Imladris is a secret no longer.
Are we prepared to face an attack on Imladris?
As well as may be. This is not a fortress. Secrecy has always been our best defense. Still, an enemy would find the terrain difficult to deal with. And we have a few useful tricks to play, as the Nazgul learned when they attempted to cross the river. Yes, we might resist for a long while, but if the enemy comes in great numbers, it will only be a matter of time before Imladris falls.
All the more reason to be rid of Agandar, and soon.
I am glad you are so eager to come to grips with the enemy. Yet do not abandon caution completely. You will find few places in the north more perilous than Mount Gundabad. I only wish we were free to accompany you.
What do you know of Mount Gundabad?
It was once a great work of the dwarves, but it was abandoned long ago, and the orcs have taken it for their own. It is certain to be teeming with enemies. You will need to keep all your wits about you if you travel to Gundabad.
Have not the Eagles aided the Free Folk on many occasions before?
We have always counted the Great Eagles as allies and friends, but many men mistrust them and they have grown wary of dealing with other folk. They have been known to take counsel with certain of the wise upon occasion, yet they are their own masters and aid only those they deem worthy. Clearly you have made a strong impression upon them.
Their aid will be most welcome in our search for Agandar.
I am glad you are so eager to come to grips with the enemy. Yet do not abandon caution completely. You will find few places in the north more perilous than Mount Gundabad. I only wish we were free to accompany you.
The sons of Elrond would be a great help to us, but I believe you are also needed here at home.
Alas, our father has made it clear we are to remain close at hand as long as Imladris is threatened. Such is our duty, and we will abide by it. Otherwise, we would have sought leave to accompany Aragorn on his quest.
But you have fought to defend these lands for so long. Why would you now choose to fight in the southern realms?
For many reasons, not least of which is the friendship we bear for Aragorn. We have shared many hardships and perils together, as we did with his forefathers before him.
We would stand with him when he achieves the quest for which so many generations of the Dunedain have striven. And so too would we be there with him at the bitter end, should all our hopes fail.
Perhaps you should follow the urgings of your heart and ride south.
We cannot think only of ourselves. We have a duty to our father and our kin. And what use would it be for Aragorn to gain the realm of Gondor, only to find the lands of Arnor reduced to ruin and ash behind him?
Yes, Aragorn is the heir to both Dunedain kingdoms. It would be good to see Arnor restored, and these lands once more under the protection of the king.
Yet the armies and agents of the Dark Lord would see it otherwise. They will not rest until these lands lie under Sauron's heel, and all free folk are slain or enslaved.
The North will not fall into darkness, not while life remains to me.
It heartens me to hear you say so. If you and your companions continue as you have begun, we truly have little to fear. Indeed. With you harrying the enemy across the whole of the North, the two of us will soon be on the road south.
I hope it will be so. Farewell, friends.
I am grateful to you, Lore Master. Even our high areas were threatened by the giant Bargrasar. You have my thanks.
What can you tell me of your leader, Gwaihir?
Gwaihir is the Lord of the Eagles. He can outfly the North Wind, and his word is law. Long ages of the world have passed since ancient Thorondor, first and greatest of Eagle Lords, soared over Middle-earth. But Gwaihir is the mightiest descendant of that line. He is wise and sees much that others miss.
An eagle rarely offers to carry another on his back. Why do you offer us this rare privilege?
It was enough for me that Belaram wished to join you. But there is also this. One of the eagles the stone giant slew was my own father. You avenged him, and for that act alone I would bear any of you to the farthest ends of Middle-earth. And though Bargrasar is gone, I still burn with the need for vengeance against the master that sent him against us, Agandar. Your enemy is my enemy. I will not rest until he is brought down.
Were you one of the eagles that took part in the Battle of Five Armies?
So I was. When the Allied armies found themselves set upon by goblins who had stealthily scaled the mountain slopes, I was among those who set upon the enemy and cast them from the cliffs to perish.
Are you ready for a long flight to Mount Gundabad?
We are strong and rested. Belaram awaits you whenever you wish to depart. He is our leader in this venture.
It is a fine day for flying, don't you think?
Are you kin to Belaram?
No, but he has always guided me. Belaram taught me tricks of the air and secrets of the wind. We often hunt together. He's shown me the fine art of snatching a wild sheep from the side of a mountain, and how to dive upon a wolf and pluck hairs from its tail. Wherever Belaram leads, I will follow.
Great eagles are not built to carry burdens, Berenthor. I would not have you continue to carry us against your will.
I am more than willing. I had long begged the Windlord for a chance to prove myself. I don't fear orc, goblin, or troll. Let's return to the air and put fear into the hearts of our enemies. It is a grand adventure.
Are you one of the eagles who came to Bilbo's aid in his quest?
I haven't met Bilbo, though I've heard much about him. My father was one of those who carried a dwarf and later fought in the Battle of Five Armies. I was considered too young and inexperienced to take part in the battle. I have much to do if I'm to match my father's fame and valor.
What do you know of Mount Gundabad?
I've never been there, but I know it's a high peak that lies far to the north, on the edge of the frozen wastes. and that it has long been infested with orcs. We do not nest there. When the north wind blows across the wastes, it racks the mountain with blizzards driven by fierce gales. But I will not be daunted by the north wind.
Gundabad awaits us.
We ask a great deal of you to carry us into such danger. Perhaps we ask too much.
I believe this is the time when all who care for the fate of Middle-earth must act. From on high, I see many lands and many people beneath my wings. In my own way, I am a steward of the North. In this hour, I will join with those who are bold enough and strong enough to stand against the likes of Agandar. For if we fail, there may be nothing left to watch over.
The friendship of the Great Eagles is a rare honor, and your friendship is a treasure beyond price, Balaram.
It is I who am honored. I am pleased to find such friends in these dark times. You may depend on me to the end, whatever that may be. Call upon me without hesitation. We stand ready to bear you to Gundabad.
I thought it a rare thing that you offered your aid to us, and hardly expected 2 more eagles to do the same. What can you tell me of them?
Armanel is a seasoned warrior. He knows full well what he faces, and accepts it gladly. Baron Thor is young, and eager to prove himself, but he has deep courage, and few can match his swiftness on the wing. But you need not take my word. Ask them yourself. They will gladly speak with you if you so desire.
I will confess, I was surprised that Gwaihir gave you leave to come with us. He rarely intervenes in the affairs of those who walk upon the ground.
It is true, Gwaihir thinks first of the safety of his own kind, and he is more likely to take a dangerous task upon himself than to send another. He sees us as observers, watching from high above, but holding aloof from the affairs of the earth. He feels we should bear information, not burdens. Even now, the Windlord is considering what part the Great Eagle should play in the events that lie before us, though there may be little time left to ponder such things.
We would not wish to cause strife between the Windlord and you, yet it seems you disagree with his view.
I have served Gwaihir loyally for a long time, and he, in turn, has the wisdom to trust my judgment. He knows that I have chosen the wind I must fly upon, and my choice is this. I can no longer stand apart. I must act. Even an eagle must rest upon an eyrie that has its roots in the earth. We cannot entirely escape the ground, and the fate of elves, men, dwarves, and even hobbits will ultimately be our fate.
What should we expect when we reach Mount Gundabad?
I can tell you little. The stronghold of Gundabad is carved into a great mountain peak covered in snow and ice. We rarely fly that far north because of the treacherous winds and blizzards that howl from the frozen wastes beyond. It is an ancient abode of enemies, and we must approach it with the greatest caution.
Perhaps Gundabad is an impossible task.
3 alone cannot hope to stand against all the orcs of Gundabad. Only stealth will serve you. We must search out a secret way that will not pit you directly against your foes, or you will stir up a hornet's nest such as you cannot imagine. I have seen you 3 triumph against desperate odds. If you cannot find a way, then no one can. My companions and I will be there to help as best we may, but once you enter the confines of Gundabad, there will be little that we can do.
I will bear that in mind. Farewell.
Andriel, it is good to see you safely returned to Imladris.
I am well pleased to say we outwitted our enemies and returned with the items you sought from the Etenmoors.
Thank you. You have brought these in good time, for we have made barely enough Miravor for present need, and now there is none to spare. With these supplies, I can replace what has been given away, and as I promised, I have kept aside a flask for you. Miravor is potent, Thus, I would advise you to keep this against a time when you're sorely hurt and your strength of will falters. Drink of it then, and you will be restored.
Thank you, lady. I shall put this to good use. I have seen you in many moods, Lady Arwen, and I sense that something is troubling you. How may I help?
You have done much already, but I will lay my problem before you. For many years, I have worked secretly upon a banner for Estelle, for Aragorn. It is my hope he will bear it triumphantly into Gondor, when the time is right for him to reclaim his heritage. This must be a banner like no other, and must endure for the ages. To that end, I am using the most precious of metals, mithril. Our most skilled smith, Angmir, has drawn mithril into thread for me. The embroidery is nearly done, but as careful as I have been, I fear what I have may not be enough to complete the design.
I have heard of no place where mithril can be found save in the distant and forbidding mines of Moria. Is there another way to find it?
It is true, there is nowhere in Middle-earth where mithril might still be mined other than Moria. Yet in ages past, quantities of this precious metal made their way by trade and gift to many other places in the world.
Yes, and the orcs also value it. They were long in possession of Moria. No doubt some quantity of mithril has passed forth into the world through their foul hands.
Still, it seems there is little hope that more mithril can be found in so short a time. What exists in the world is likely considered too precious to part with.
Tell me about this banner. Why is it so important to you?
It bears the symbols of Elendil, from whom Aragorn is descended. I have embroidered upon black cloth the high crown of the kings of Numenor, and 7 stars in which I have set brilliant jewels. Below them is the white tree of Gondor, the symbol of Aragorn's claim to the throne of that realm and all the lands of the Dunedain. With this banner go all my hopes. My hope for Estelle to help overthrow the enemy and become king, and for our long pledge of love to be fulfilled. Either our hope will come, or all hope will be lost. These things I have pondered during the many hours I have labored over this banner. There is hope in every thread, and no few tears as well.
Is there nothing you could use apart from mithril?
I have used mithril and gold, the 2 most precious of metals. Only mithril, or true silver as it is known, shines like the finest silver, but will never tarnish. It can be worked as fine as thread, and yet remain stronger than steel. And it is the traditional metal of the kings of the West. Nothing but mithril can serve my needs.
It seems my fate to travel far and frequently, and what cannot be obtained in peace may sometimes be seized as spoils of war. Should I find mithril in my forays against the enemy, it will be yours.
That is a noble offer. I would not ask you to go into such danger for this alone, for it may yet prove that I already have all that I require. Still, it would ease my mind, and I would see that you were well rewarded for your courage and generosity. May Elbereth watch over you and keep you safe.
Those who venture into the wild must be well prepared. Examine the goods Imladris has to offer.
Welcome home, Andriel. I saw you arrive, and I must say it made for a fine sight. We have something in common now, my friend. We are among the few who can claim to have ridden on the back of an eagle, although I'm sure you enjoyed your journey more than I. Truthfully, I found the whole experience rather terrifying.
Perhaps you wish to tell me again about your adventures with the great eagles. I know you never tire of telling the story.
Oh, well, it's a long story, really. There we were, 13 dwarves, 1 wizard, and 1 rather frightened hobbit, perched in the treetops, trying to hide from an army of wolves and goblins. They sniffed us out soon enough and set fire to the trees. It would have been the end of us all right there, had the King of the Eagles not led his people to our rescue. I was grateful to be saved, of course, but to this day I still feel a bit dizzy whenever I think about that wild flight.
For my part, I have never experienced anything to match the thrill of soaring among the clouds. I am eager to take to the air again.
I suppose that shouldn't surprise me, coming from one brave enough to fight with giants. Oh yes, I've heard all about your adventures in the Eton Moors. Everyone in Rivendell is talking about it. I've seen stone giants with my own eyes. It's beyond me how you managed to get the better of one.
You contended with giants?
Well, contended is not the right word. It was more like trying my best not to be accidentally trod upon. Frankly, I'm surprised a giant would make war upon us in this way. The ones I encountered seemed caught up in their own affairs and not the least bit concerned with me or my companions.
In this we see the hand of Agandaur. I'm certain it was he who corrupted the giant.
Agandaur again. Oh, I don't like hearing about that one. Especially when I think about places like Bree or the Shire. Seems like there is so little to stand in his way.
Do not despair, Bilbo. We intend to find Agandaur, and when we do, we will put an end to his schemes.
I believe you will find a way to do that, my friend. You have certainly made a good start by thwarting his plans at Fornost and the Eton Moors. You know, someone should be setting down this story of yours. It's certainly worthy of being remembered. I do have my own book to finish, but perhaps when that's done. Maybe you should give me an account of your adventures. I'll take notes, and one day I can write your story. What do you say to that?
It would be an honor to have our story recorded by so worthy a chronicler.
Very well, then. Why don't you start at the beginning?
It began some weeks past at the Sarn Ford. And so, with the giant dead and the great eagles joining our cause, we returned here to Rivendell to inform Elrond of all we had learned.
Outstanding! What a riveting tale! There is enough there to fill a volume or two already. I just hope I managed to get it all straight. I tried to take good notes. You really must come back later to let me know how it's progressing.
Who could say no to such an appreciative audience? Now I really should be on my way. Farewell, Bilbo. I hope we reach our destination soon, or this weather may prove more deadly than the orcs.
Take heart! We are nearly there, and this snowfall will hide us from the eyes of the enemy below.
Balaram, look! Above the mountain!
Set us down. We can attempt to find a way into the mountain under the cover of this storm.
There is little chance of that, with those creatures keeping watch from above. Once we land you, my comrades and I will draw off the beasts.
Let's hope those flying beasts are too occupied with the eagles to notice us.
We can hope their eyes are less keen than those of our eagle friends. We may appear to be just a few more orcs among the hordes of Gundabad.
It's a sad day when I have to hope I'm mistaken for an orc.